Assalamu alaikum everybody. Quite a few people have come in now, and let's start our lecture for today. So first, let's talk about the quizzes that I gave you. Somehow, for some reason, about there are four people here. Who are they? Also, यहाँ पर दिए उनमें and Ramshad Javed and Minhaj have not done the quiz. Quiz number 2 and quiz number 1 is again Minhaj and Mohsen and whoever is 034, Marshall and Robert. So Minhaj, you haven't attempted any of the quizzes.
Yes, sir.
Now, just to remind you all that it's HEC's policy and our university's policy that you will be eligible to take the final exam only when you have submitted at least 50% of the quizzes and 50% of the assignments. So if there have been 2 quizzes and you have not attempted any of them, and then I only take 3 quizzes, then you will not be eligible for the exam. I told you guys again and again to make sure that you attempt every single quiz and submit every single assignment. If you don't do it, I will not be able to do anything about it later on. So this is on recording. If there is a problem, then I will show you this recording. I will not be able to sign any letter or do anything for you when the exams are due. So please attempt every quiz and submit every assignment. Please, this is a reminder. So let's first see the answers for the quiz and why they were why they were the quiz answers. So I'm going to share the screen with you.
सर कुछ स्टूडेंट्स का और भी मसले हो गए थे.
Don't worry about it. First, let me share. There we go. And Google Chrome. So here we are. And so can you see this?
Sir,
The first quiz, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. So the first question was an old saying in the subcontinent goes, शादी एक ऐसा लड्डू है जो खाए वो पछताए और जो ना खाए वो भी पछताए. So there are two possibilities that you eat or you don't eat. Just like that, if you get married or you don't get married. In either case, you are going to regret it. So if that is so, then there are two things. When tautology is there, there is only actually one thing which is repeated. So it cannot be a tautology. Now it can be a paradox or a dilemma. Now a paradox is one that is conflicting with each other. Now this is not conflicting with each other. This presents two different scenarios and both of them are leading to a troubled situation. That's why hence this is a dilemma. Okay. So God is omnipotent, which means he can do anything. So God can die. Now, if God is omnipotent, which means all powerful, so he can do anything, so God can die. Now, here's the thing. It's obviously not a tautology because it's not repeating itself. It can either be a paradox or a dilemma. Now, there is no choice here. Whenever there is a choice to do this or that, then there is a dilemma. This is a paradox because it is conflicting with the first part. If God is omnipotent, then he can do anything and therefore he can die. If he can die, then it means that he is not omnipotent, because if he is omnipotent, then he cannot die. So it is conflicting with each other, a looping conflict. Therefore, a paradox. The next was, today I saw a man says to his wife, today I saw a woman who looks exactly like you. So the wife asked, was she beautiful? Now the man cannot say yes and cannot say no. Now, why do you think so? पहले तो आप लोगों से- Why do you think the man cannot say both either?
सर यस कहेगा तो एकदम चलेगी, नो कहेगा तो देना चाहिए.
If he says yes, the wife will say that, okay, so you think that woman is beautiful. And if he says no, that means, yeah, I am not beautiful. So, in either case, that person is so probably a very a real life case study for you guys, and very helpful for you in the future to how to deal with such a situation. So the first thing is to understand what this is. Uh, it's not a tautology and it's not a paradox, but it is a dilemma. Why? Because the man has two options, and in both options, it's leading to undesirable situation. The third is, if you need to prepare for the exam of the introduction to logic, then you are not prepared for these. So, what is this? What do you guys think?
देना चाहिए.
What is it? Paradox.
टोटोलॉजी.
It's a tautology. Why? Because if you are not prepared for the exam, obviously then if you need to prepare, then obviously you are not prepared. But it is saying the same thing. If you need to prepare for the exam, then you are not prepared for the exam. Obviously, it will only be color. But actually, now here's the learning part here. That what is the real message behind this tautology, even though it is a tautology, yet it carries a meaning. Can you tell me the meaning? Select from the tautology. What meaning is it?
मीनिंग यही होगा ना कि सर अगर एग्जाम की तैयारी नहीं तो प्रिपेयर करेंगे.
एग्जाम, ये तो बात है ना, अगर आपको एग्जाम की तैयारी करने की जरूरत है तो आप एग्जाम के लिए तैयार नहीं है. Whether are you sharing something or is it just appearing here? So the question is, if you need to prepare, then if you are not prepared for the exam, if you need to prepare, then you are not prepared. What does this mean? Okay, I'll try to explain this to you. Even though it is a tautology and it is repeating the same thing, what I mean to say is that if you need to prepare for the exam, and the prepare is in the inverted commas. When it's in the inverted commas, it means I'm saying the word prepare in some specific terms. And this means that you should look out whenever you are looking at any text, then you should be able to look for the key word in the text. For example, here the key word is prepare. Now, why this is a key word? Because it, when I am putting these marks here, it means that I am not talking about prepare in the conventional way, or I am talking about something in specific. So, what I am saying here is that if you need to prepare for the exam, it means that you are preparing for the exam by reading notes, by reading slides, by reading the book. Then it means that you have not understood the content of the course in the first place, and therefore you need to consult the text to prepare for the exam. If you had already uh, taken the lectures and understood the content and all the things that were going on in the lectures, then you would not be you will not be requiring of those texts and those things to understand or prepare for the exam. You would already know logic by yourself. You would be a logician. You would not be needing to read the text to be able to solve logic problems. Therefore, if you need to prepare for the exam, how we say prepare for the exam? By reading text and books. And for the exam, then you are not prepared for the exam. Hope you got that. The next one was, I can resist anything but temptation. What is that? Anybody?
Paradox, sir.
It's a paradox. Why? Because if any person can resist anything and only cannot resist temptation, then that person can actually not resist. He can not resist anything. So he can, instead of saying I can resist anything but temptation, but if he resorts to temptation, it means not able to resist anything. So it's conflicting with each other. So it's a paradox. And then there was just this picture that was another kind of paradox. Actually, don't think about thinking. Got it? So I'll just submit to myself.
सर पैसे करा सकते हैं हमने क्या करा तो
Oh, मैंने क्या किससे कर दिया था? तो मैंने गलत
यही
कर दिया, फिर गलत कर दिया.
सर यही पैराडॉक्स है
हाँ, वो तो बात हो गई थी ना, यहाँ में क्लिक हो गई. Anyway, so let's move on to the other one. Which one was that? This one. And well, uh, yes, logical fallacy. Right? in Europe. So you guys can see that this is what is this? The first one was the picture is we share many genetic characteristics with ducks because we have evolved from a common ancestor. So these are two swans probably talking with each other, and they say that we have similarities with ducks, so we are clear that he's trying to draw an analogy. So the other duck is that the other swan is saying you close-minded and stupid and you eat corn, you don't know anything. Now what is this swan doing? Instead of uh, refuting the argument or talking about the argument, this swan is attacking the character of the person who is making the argument. Okay. One, two, three, four, 10, so fallacy number 2 is this. But why should we switch to this buffer solution? Because I'm the left head and I said. Why are we switching to this one? Because I'm the postdoc and I said. Now what kind is this? This is appeal to authority. Right? Easy point. Then we have this Russian roulette. I missed 5 times in a row. I must be on a lucky streak. This person is believing that this because since the last 5 missed, the 6th one will also miss. And do you think that it will actually miss or not? It will go ahead. It will not miss because there are only 6. Oh, अच्छा, इधर आएगा. यहाँ पे आएगा appeal to authority. यहाँ पे आएगा gamblers. चलो. और यहाँ पे क्या आएगा? After my son had his acne, he developed autism. Therefore, the vaccine caused autism. Which one is this? False. False. Because the cause is false, it is not related to the vaccine. They are correlated but not causated with each other. So, now, what happened is that there was some mistake. Yeah, I know. एक तो ये false called. हाँ, अब जैसे ये है कि मैंने लिखा कैपिटल एफ में the correct answer was small. So, this is a problem that you guys also had. So, don't worry about it. I'm going to check these quizzes according to uh, according to your answers and not according to what this point is saying. Okay, but just let me show you something here as well. Now, even though you guys have turned the quiz in, you can see that some of you have turned in late. So at least 2 to 3 persons have turned it in late. So if you turn it something in late, it will not be counted because I've already given you the answers. So obviously, you cannot attempt the quiz after you know the answer. So this is the late ones will not be counted. Okay. So let's get that. Okay. So we've talked about yeah. There is no issue if you have entered the right answers. I'll find them. Don't worry. Let's talk about today's topic. Now we have discussed paradoxes, but I don't think we have discussed thought experiments. Have we? Did we discuss any thought experiments? No? So let's talk about thought experiments. The yeah. What are thought experiments? Why are we studying thought experiments now? Conventionally, the course of logic does not include thought experiments, but I think they are very important because they help us understand what life is or what life could be. So there are many thought experiments, thousands and thousands of thought experiments being introduced all the time. But the famous ones actually help us to think about how things work and maybe even without actually experiencing or measuring something, we are able to judge the reality or estimate things with a thought experiment. Now, what is a thought experiment? The first thing is there are two words in it, thought and experiment. Now, experiment is something in which we are assuming things. We are taking some variables and we are testing those variables versus something else. That's an experiment. Like you did experiment with, in the laboratory when we use we combine the acids and bases to form salt and water. So and then you measured those acids and bases. So you found out how much acid dissolves or is neutralized by how much bases. So that's an experiment. Just like that, a thought experiment means that you are conducting that experiment in your mind because that experiment cannot actually be done. So you are making that experiment in your mind. Now that experiment can have any kind of reasoning. It can be deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning or abductive reasoning. It can have any of these. For example, if I say, what if dinosaurs, what if that meteor that hit the dinosaurs did not actually hit the dinosaurs? Would we still be having dinosaurs in this era roaming around among animals? So that's a kind of a thought experiment. And it's an abductive kind of thought experiment because it takes something from the past, some premise from the past and assumes the thing that what could have happened if this thing, if the meteor had not struck. Similarly, it can be pretty deductive. For example, if I say that if I ask, what if I go and ask people um outside my home a certain question about Pakistan, and would they be able to answer me? So in my mind, I can go and ask them, and I can know that these will be the answers, and they will probably be irrefutable arguments. So it can be a deductive kind of thought experiment, or it can be an inductive, it can be anything. The point is this: thought experiments help us to understand or question or measure or realize the reality of life, or get closer to or have a deeper understanding of life. Now let's discuss some thought experiments. Now one of the most interesting, um, fascinating thought experiment is the ship of Theseus. Now let's first, let's actually first, I'll show you a video of the thought experiment, and then we can discuss it. Okay. Um, where was it? Can you see the video? Threaded video? Can you see it? Please say yes. No? Well, I am sharing right now. What can you see then?
Yes, sir, now it's showing.
Okay. So let's see.
Throughout the history of mankind, three little words have sent poets to the blank page, philosophers to the agora, and seekers to the oracles. Who am I? From the ancient Greek aphorism inscribed on the temple of Apollo, know thyself, to the Who's Rock anthem, Who Are You? Philosophers, psychologists, academics, scientists, artists, theologians, and politicians have all tackled the subject of identity. Their hypotheses are widely varied and lack significant consensus. These are smart, creative people. So what's so hard about coming up with the right answer? One challenge certainly lies with the complex concept of the persistence of identity. Which you is who? The person you are today, 5 years ago, who you'll be in 50 years. And when is in? This week, today, this hour, this second. And which aspect of you is I? Are you your physical body, your thoughts and feelings, your actions? Nobody models of abstract logic is tricky to navigate, and so it's probably fitting that to demonstrate the complexity, the Greek historian Plutarch used the story of a ship. How are you I? As the tale goes, Theseus, the mythical founder king of Athens, single-handedly saved the evil Minotaur at Crete, then returned home on a ship. To honor this heroic feat, for 1,000 years, a crew painstakingly maintained his ship in the harbor and annually reenacted his voyage. Whenever a part of the ship was worn or damaged, it was replaced with an identical piece of the same material until at some point no original parts remained. Plutarch noted the ship of Theseus was an example of the philosophical paradox revolving around the persistence of identity. How can every single part of something be replaced, yet it still remains the same thing? Let's imagine there are two ships. The ship that Theseus got from Athens, ship A, and the ship sailed by the Athenians 1,000 years later, ship B. Very simply, our question is this: does A equal B? Some would say that for 1,000 years there has been only one ship of Theseus, and because the changes made to it happened gradually, it never, at any point in time, stopped being the legendary ship. Though they have absolutely no parts in common, the two ships are numerically identical, meaning one and the same. So A is B. However, others could argue that Theseus never set foot on ship B, and his presence on the ship is an essential qualitative property of the ship of Theseus. It cannot survive without it. So, though the two ships are numerically, they are not qualitatively identical. Thus, they are not. But what happens when you consider this twist? What if, as each piece of the original ship was cast off, somebody corrected it and rebuilt the entire original ship? When it was finished, undeniably, two physical ships would exist, the one that docked in Athens and the one in some guy's backyard. Each could lay claim to the title, the ship of Theseus, but only one could actually be the Theseus. So which one is it? And more importantly, what does this have to do with you? Like the ship of Theseus, you are a collection of constantly changing parts. Your physical body, time, emotions, circumstances, and even your thoughts always change, but still, in an amazing, sometimes illogical way, you stay the same too. This is one of the reasons that the question of who we are is so complex. And in order to answer, like so many questions of belief, you must be willing to dive into the bottomless ocean. Or maybe you could just answer, I am a legendary saving a powerful ship on an epic journey. That could work too.
Navi, so you've seen the video, and it's a pretty interesting thought experiment because it relates to us as human beings too. The blood in our veins, that is changing all the time. We make new blood about every few months. If you give blood to donate blood to anybody, they take about 300 ml or 400 ml, something like that, of your blood. But in about 2 months' time, your blood is back to the normal level. So you have developed 300 ml of new blood in your veins. The question is, which one is you? Is the new blood you, or if you give that blood to someone else, then that some part of you is now in somebody else. So, for example, if we say that there is a thalassemia patient who is receiving blood from many people, so who is that person now? Is that person changed or not? So, just like that, if you talk about anything, if you talk about what's home, for example, where's home? So, is home that physical place where you live, or is home the things that you are placing in those rooms? If you take those things and make a very similar room with those things that are in your room, but it's in another apartment, it's another house, which one is your home? or if you just replace all the stuff in your room and put new things there, will it still be your room? Will it still be your home? So these are interesting questions that actually help us to dwell, to think about the reality of what is so. So that is one way to look at things, to look at the ship of Theseus. So there's a movie on that as well. There's a Indian movie called Ship of Theseus, and I will suggest that you do watch it. It's a wonderful movie. It will help you dive deeper into this concept. Um, that was the first one, the Ship of Theseus. Let's take another thought experiment. Let's take the Einstein thought experiment. Now, interestingly, Einstein's famous um, uh, theory of relativity has the basis of the theory of relativity is the train thought experiment. So let's talk about that. Yeah, here it is.
Imagine two observers, one seated in the center of a speeding train car, and another standing on the platform as the train races.
Okay, you guys can see this? Yes. Okay.
Imagine two observers, one seated in the center of a speeding train car, and another standing on the platform as the train races by. As the center of the car passes the observer on the platform, he sees two bolts of lightning strike the car, one on the front and one on the rear. The flashes of light from each strike reach him at the same time, so he concludes that the bolts were simultaneous, since he knows that the light from both strikes traveled the same distance to his eyes at the same speed, the speed of light. He also predicts that his friend on the train will notice the front strike before the rear strike, because from his perspective on the platform, the train is moving to meet the flash at the front and moving away from the flash at the rear. But what does the passenger see? As her friend on the platform predicted, the passenger does notice the flash from the front before the flash from the rear, but her conclusion is very different. As Einstein showed, the speed of the flashes as measured in the reference frame of the train must also be the speed of light. So, because each light pulse travels the same distance from each end of the train to the passenger, she can only conclude one thing. If she sees the front strike first, it actually happened first. Whose interpretation is correct? The observer on the platform, who claims that the strikes happened simultaneously, or the observer on the train, who claims that the front strike happened before the rear strike? Einstein tells us that both are correct within their own frame of reference. This is a fundamental result of special relativity. From different reference frames, there can never be agreement on the simultaneity of events.
So this is a thought experiment in which Einstein assumed thought about a train and how different observers look at the lightning striking on the train, and that actually told him about the simultaneity of things, that no one can actually see the same thing in the same way. They will depend on the observer. So it's a very complex theory, but very well explained with a thought experiment. So let's take another thought experiment, just to let's discuss a few so that we can really know which one is So let's take that. A brain in a vat. So I'm going to share another video with you. And I shared this with you on your on the Google Classroom before, but I'm just for the sake of अच्छा ये पार्टिसिपेंट जो है वो क्या बाहर चाय वाय पीने जाते हैं मैसेज लॉबी मैसेज आप लोगों ने मैसेज वो अपना क्लासरूम करता है जाते हैं कैंटीन
नहीं सर
चाय पी के आ जाते हैं चिप्स खा के आ जाता है
नहीं सर सर मसला असल में ये है कि बहुत सारे बच्चों का नेट का इशू चल रहा है। जो क्लास ज्वाइन भी करना चाहते हैं तो वो नहीं कर पाते, नेट के इशू की वजह से।
ओके ओके so you can see this
यस सर। सर इसकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है।
थोड़ी सी आवाज कम है पढ़ लेना नीचे okay so basically in the movie Matrix it was shown that that the Matrix is a place in which the people live and they don't really know that they are living in a computer program. So this is actually the thought experiment that it is based on. It's called the brain in a vat thought experiment. Brain in a vat. Vat is just a jar, you can say. So brain in a jar, you can also call it a brain in a jar. So for example, if there is a brain, let's think about a brain in a jar, and that brain is connected to a, you can say, a virtual reality computer program, and the brain in that jar is kept alive in a solution, and it is shown these things, shown this information, shown these visuals and these experiences. So everything that the brain is seeing is just the computer program, the virtual reality. It's not happening in real. Now the question is, does the brain know about it? That this is not real. If the brain doesn't know, then the question is our reality just like the brain in that vat? Are we just some brains in these vats looking at these things? We are not really real. So that's called the brain in a vat experiment. And you can see another movie about this. It's called Other Life. Other Life is also a movie made on the brain in a vat experiment, or you can say augmented reality. Interesting. So that's also a good thought experiment. Okay. So we've discussed the thought experiments. Let's move on. Let's discuss some more. Mary's room is a very good thought experiment. Schrodinger's cat is this experiment, very famous one. Let's first
Our Earth is like a treasure chest. We have to watch over our entire world.
Imagine a brilliant neuroscientist named Mary. Mary lives in a black and white city. She only reads black and white books, and her screens only display black and white. But even though she has never seen color, Mary is an expert in color vision and knows everything ever discovered about its physics and biology. She knows how different wavelengths of light stimulate three types of tone cells in the retina, and she knows how electrical signals travel down the optic nerve into the brain. There, they create patterns of neural activity that correspond to the millions of colors most humans can distinguish. Now imagine that one day Mary's black and white screen malfunctions and an apple appears in color. For the first time, she can experience something that she's known about for years. Does she learn anything new? Is there anything about perceiving color that wasn't captured in all the knowledge? Philosopher Frank Jackson proposed this thought experiment called Mary's Room in 1982. He argued that if Mary already knew all the physical facts about color vision and experiencing color still teaches her something new, and mental states like color perception can't be completely described by physical facts. The Mary's Room thought experiment describes what philosophers call the knowledge argument, that there are non-physical properties in knowledge which can only be discovered through conscious experience. The knowledge argument contradicts the theory of physical, which says that everything, including mental states, has a physical explanation. To most people hearing Mary's story, it seems intuitively obvious that actually seeing color will be fully different than learning about it. Therefore, there must be some quality of color vision that transcends its physical description. The knowledge argument isn't just about color vision. Mary's Room uses color vision to represent conscious experience. If physical science can't entirely explain color vision, then maybe it can't entirely explain other conscious experiences either. For instance, we could know every physical detail about the structure and function of someone else's brain, but still not understand what it feels like to be that person. These ineffable experiences have properties called qualia, subjective qualities that you can't accurately describe or measure. Qualia are unique to the person experiencing them, like having an itch, being in love, or feeling bored. Physical facts can't completely explain mental states like this. Philosophers interested in artificial intelligence have used the knowledge argument to theorize that recreating a physical state doesn't necessarily recreate a corresponding mental state. In other words, building a computer which mimics the functions of every single neuron of the human brain won't necessarily create a conscious computerized brain. Not all philosophers agree that the Mary-Lou experiment is useful. Some argue that her extensive knowledge of color vision would have allowed her to create the same mental state produced by actually seeing the color. The screen malfunction wouldn't show her anything new. Others say that her knowledge was never complete in the first place, because it was based only on those physical facts that can be conveyed in words. Years after he proposed it, Jackson actually reversed his own stance on employment. He decided that even Mary's experience of seeing red still does correspond to a measurable physical event in the brain, not unknowable qualia beyond physical explanation. But there still isn't a definitive answer to the question of whether Mary would learn anything new when she sees the apple. Could it be that there are fundamental limits to what we can know about something we can't experience? And would this mean that there are certain aspects of the universe that lie permanently beyond our comprehension? Or will science and philosophy allow us to overcome our mind limitations?
Okay. So that was another a complex one again, but still a very interesting thought experiment. And so we've discussed a few thought experiments today. You guys have another class, I know. So let's just do this. Let's wrap it up for today. And if you have any questions so far, then you can ask right now. I will share some links for other thought experiments. You should watch them. That will be, counted for the Thursday class. You will have to watch those videos. And then on Thursday, I will post an assignment or a quiz, another quiz, because some of you haven't taken the quiz, so I have to post some quizzes so that you are able to take the final exam. Be sure to get the exam, submit the assignment and the quizzes on time, please. If you have any questions, please ask. Fatim, do you have any questions?
सर
Yeah.
सर नेक्स्ट क्लास थर्सडे को है
No, Tuesday.
ट्यूसडे को
I don't know how much time will they be giving us for the Ramzan. I don't know, but we'll start at 1. But there will be a problem for the namaz break, right? I'll let you know. Maybe we'll start at 12 in Ramzan, so that you can, if you want to go to the masjid for 1:30 for namaz, then you can also go at 1:30. So we will start at 12 and finish at 1, or maybe start at 11:30. I'll share the timing. Yeah, I'll share the link of all the thought experiments and other videos if there is any, and you can see those in lieu of the Thursday class. I always give you some links for the Thursday class, so be sure to go through them. They are part of your content.
Attendance class दूसरी
Attendance, I'll put up the attendance. Don't worry about
ओके सर अल्लाह हाफ़िज़
it. Okay. Anybody else?
सर ये आपने पोर्टल पर अटेंडेंस मार्क की एब्सेंट लगी हुई है
Don't worry about the attendance. It is not going to be counted for the final exam.
सर अटेंडेंस लगने के चक्कर में बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट काफी परेशान हो गए स्पेशली बिजनेस क्लास वाले
मैं आपको बता तो रहा हूँ कि अटेंडेंस फाइनल एग्जाम के लिए एक क्राइटेरिया नहीं है.
ठीक है सर
Thank you. क्विजेज और असाइनमेंट क्राइटेरिया है उसकी तरफ काउंट करें। ओके चले तो जी हाँ हाँ
मैंने सेकंड क्विज अटेम्प्ट करा था सर, और उसमें जो फर्स्ट आंसर जो था सर एट होमिनम, उसका जो फर्स्ट लेटर एनके वो मैंने स्मॉल लिखा था, उसकी वजह से मेरा रॉन्ग हो गया। सबके आंसर बिल्कुल सही है।
आप अकेले नहीं, बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे ही है, वो मैं सब मैनुअली चेक करूंगा, तो आप परेशान नहीं।
वो सर बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर। थॉट प्रोसेस के बारे में एक कंप्लीट आइडिया बता दीजिएगा, क्योंकि आपने बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स तो बता दिए, लेकिन एक जो आइडिया होता है वो नहीं बन रहा कि होता है क्या असल में ये चीज।
थॉट एक्सपेरिमेंट का मतलब है हम कोई भी चीज के बारे में हम ये सोच रहे हैं कि ये चीज अगर ऐसी होगी, अगर ऐसा होता या ऐसे हम करके देखें तो क्या होगा। What if, that's the short what if there is a person who is called Mary who does not see color and suddenly she starts to see color, what will happen? If there is somebody who is traveling in a train then and sees this lightning, then what happens? So these thought experiments assume certain situations that are not likely to occur in reality. It's not possible that we take a train, take two observers, one in a train, one outside, and then actually produce lightning at two ends of the train all at the same time. Or it's not possible to take somebody who knows 100% about how the brain works but has not seen color in her or his life. It's not possible in real life to be think about, we assume these in our thoughts, and then we think what will happen if that really happens. So that is why it's a thought experiment. We cannot conduct those experiments in reality, so we conduct them in our mind.
सर हाउ वुड इट हेल्प इन लॉजिक, किस तरीके से हमको?
It is helping in logic. It's helping us question the reality of something. But with the help of thought experiments, we can draw analogies to make strong premises about things in reality. The biggest example is Einstein. Einstein did not have anything to actually prove his theories. Do you know Einstein thought about gravitational waves with these thought experiments? How did he know about gravitational waves? He didn't. Nobody knew about gravitational waves. And when were these gravitational waves proven? Can anybody tell me? Do you know? When Einstein was there in about 70 years ago. And when was this proven? It was proven about 2 to 3 years from now. In about, I think 2016 or 17. Yeah. So how did he come up with that theory 70 years ago when we did not have anything to see the space or the black holes or these gravitational waves? With the help of these thought experiments. He thought, what if this happened, then this would happen, and then this would happen, and this would happen. And along those thoughts, he found out how these things would work. He thought of how gravitation actually affected light. It was proven in 70s that his theory about light being affected by gravity. So we make the premise for many things using the analogies from thought experiments, which has a very important task in making cases for things that are not measurable directly or we don't know about those things. All of these things are done through thought experiments. In fact, you can actually, I'll give you an example of a thought experiment in the Quran. I think you can relate to that a lot. Have you ever read that ayat in which in the Quran it is stated that there is one God and there are no more than one God? Because assume for an instant, if there are many gods and there is the God of rain and there is the God of crops and there is the God of death and there is the God of life and there is the God of this and that, there are many gods, then there must be some conflict in the power. Who is doing what? There must have been some gray areas in which the God of crops says that I'm going to give this person food, and because of maybe God of sea says that no, I'm going to flood this crop and do that and this do this and that. So there will be some conflict, and that those gods will be fighting with each other. And if they fought with each other, then nothing would be in order. So if things are in order, and if there is no possibility of a fight between these things, then it must mean then there is only one God. So this thought experiment, what if, actually is a very strong argument in the Quran. That is a kind of a thought experiment to help you understand that there is one God. Got the example? You are raising your hand.
So basically हम अपनी डिडक्शंस बनाते हैं और उससे आगे प्रूव कर देते हैं.
एनालिसिस ड्रॉ करते हैं और assumptions करते हैं, सोचते हैं कि अगर ऐसा होता तो क्या होता. This is a kind of a thought experiment. But these thought experiments are not based on real things. Instead, they are based on things that are not real, but then we draw an analogy to the reality. बहुत सारे thought experiment आगे तो समझ में आएगा. In fact, I will be giving you a task to make your own thought experiment. जब ये challenge मिलेगा ना तो खुद समझ में आएगा.
थॉट एक्सपेरिमेंट मतलब अपनी तरफ से कोई ऐसी थॉट बनाने का, अगर ऐसा होता है तो.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Chane. So I'll give you an assignment or a quiz or both for this class, and I'll be sharing the link with you in about 1 or 2 hours as soon as it gets converted to the uploadable file. I'll do that. So even if you join late, you can watch it and don't worry about the assignment. Just be sure to do the assignment and quizzes and watch all the videos. Okay, so that's it for now, and see you next Tuesday. Maybe just look out for the timing. I'll share the timing. You don't have any class at 11:30, right? Do you guys any class at class before this one?
क्लास होती है इससे पहले भी
कब होती?
लाइक जो सब्जेक्ट है वो थोड़ा भी बीमार है तो वो भी दे नहीं सकता.
अच्छा चैनल देखें.
पॉसिबल है कि वो कुछ इसके बाद वाले स्लॉट में 2:30 से लेकर 4 तक का स्लॉट है.
नहीं, इसमें भी तो
4 के बाद कोई क्लास
नहीं 4 के बाद तो मेरी इवनिंग वाली क्लास शुरू हो गई रमजान में. ठीक है, तो वो देख लेंगे, मैं बता.
सैटरडे संडे.
हाँ, नहीं ट्यूसडे को ही रखेंगे सेम डे, बट टाइमिंग विल बी अ बिट डिफरेंट. ठीक है. ओके एवरीबॉडी. बाय.